He tried out several possibilities of the regular platonic solids. The tetrahedron was too difficult to open. Was it possible to picture on it a regular tessellation with fishes? First he tried with this solid, then with the cube. That was possible. You see that he sketched some birds on it. But this was too simple. Not interesting.
Kunnen het proberen met het volgende regelmatige lichaam? Ook hier zijn een heleboel mogelijkheden op.
We can try with the other solid, the octahedron. Also here, there are many possibilities. A continuous stream of figures. We can also take the icosahedron, and this comes a little to life. You see that he sketched around it. And last we have the dodecahedron. What was his final decision? Look for yourself at this row of models. Which would you choose as a candy box? I'll show you what Escher chose. It is this funny box, an icosahedron covered with seashells and starfishes. But it is a box. You can open it and put things in it.
One can say that every artist is interested in the structure of the surrounding space. The Dutch artist Escher has analyzed in depth the geometric properties. Here is an example illustrated by the mathematician Coxeter.
Tetrahedron and the octahedron have supplementary dihedral angles. If you put a tetrahedron on a face of the octahedron, you get the triangles of both in the same plane. And you can put another tetrahedron on the opposite face, and the whole figure then forms a rhombohedron which can fill space. So in fact all space can be filled up with tetrahedra and octahedra fitted together like this. And that can be seen in Escher's picture of the flatworms, where a pair of tetrahedra and octahedra occur in many places. You can see this pattern being repeated over and over again in his picture.
Of course, we're not only interested in the geometric space that we're accustomed to. We can also become interested in a space in which there are objects that seem to be impossible. Objects which one can perceive, but which are in fact impossible to construct. One of the first examples of impossible objects, and one of the first people to become aware of this phenomenon, was a crystallographer named Necker in 1832. The figure that he observed, today called Necker's cube, is this strange cube, a figure that one can draw, but which one certainly can't construct in three-dimensional space. Because of its impossible geometry in three-dimensional space, we can amuse ourselves by creating variations of this impossible object.
The physicist, mathematician Penrose is very interested in the so-called impossible structures.
Well, I first came across the work of Escher when I was attending a congress of mathematicians in Amsterdam, in Holland. I was at that time a student of mathematics, and there was a special exhibition of the work of Escher that was in conjunction with an exhibition of Van Gogh's paintings. But it was thought that the drawings and prints of Escher would be of special interest to mathematicians. And it was mentioned to me because it was known that I was interested in mathematical peculiarities, well, geometrical peculiarities, that I might be interested in this exhibition. And I went to see it, and I found it quite fascinating. Particularly, I remember the relativity and night and day, I think, particularly stuck in my mind. And after seeing this, when I got back to England, I began to think, I wondered whether I could do something myself, which would be some kind of geometrical peculiarity, but perhaps not quite the same as the things I had seen at the exhibition of Escher. And I then started to design pictures which were impossible in some sense. And gradually I simplified these until I designed this triangle of mine, which it's the kind of thing which I mean an impossible object. Perhaps I can draw what this looks like. Thing is that the triangle is, every small part of the figure is something which could exist as a three-dimensional object, but the whole configuration is something which could not exist three-dimensionally. I showed these things to my father, and he then designed a number of impossible figures himself. I remember particularly a drawing of a college, which was an impossible building, and he then played with these for a while and gradually came across the staircase, which goes down all the way around. Now, when we had these two figures, the triangle and the staircase and several others, we then This was round about in 1954, when the Mathematical Congress was in 1954.